Welcome to Straight Outta Trauma, the podcast where survivors' truth meet neuroscience, faith, and fire. I'm your host, Shauna Chavis, trauma educator, speaker, and a voice awakening. Here we break down the brain, the body, the spirit, and the stories that shape us. If you're healing, learning, growing, or just out here trying to break generational trauma, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever said, I don't understand why I freeze, or why I shut down, or explode, or disassociate? And it's not because you're being extra, it's because your brain learned survival. Today, we're talking about the brain story, what trauma really does to your brain, and why healing isn't about trying harder. It's about understanding what happened inside of you. You see, your brain's number one job is not happiness, it's not success, it's not logic. Your brain's number one job is survival. And when trauma happens, especially repeated trauma, like childhood trauma, domestic violence, neglect, or even abandonment, your brain doesn't ask, is this healthy? It asks, is this dangerous? And once your brain decides something's dangerous, it changes how it operates, not temporarily, strategically. Trauma changes the way information is processed. When trauma hits, your brain shifts control. The thinking part of the brain, the part that reasons, plans, explains, it goes quiet. And the survival part steps up. That's when you see things like fight, flight, or freeze. Your body reacts before your mind has time to explain. That's why you can panic in safe situations, shut down during conflict, people please, or automatically disassociate without even realizing it. You may even feel too much or not enough. Your brain isn't malfunctioning, it's remembering. You see, memory doesn't live only in words. Here's something nobody tells survivors. Trauma memories aren't stored like normal memories. They don't always come back as a story. They come back as a tight chest, a racing heart, a sick stomach, a sudden shutdown, a feeling of danger with no explanation. Your body remembers before your mind understands. That's why you can say, I don't know why this is happening, and still feel overwhelmed. Your nervous system learned this language before you had words. And we actually see this in Scripture. After the crucifixion, the disciples are all together, and Scripture tells us exactly how they were responding. In the Gospel of John 20:19, it says, on the evening of that first day of the week, when the disciples were together, with the door locked for fear. Let that sit in for a moment. These are the same disciples who walked with Jesus, the same disciples who heard him teach about the resurrection, and the same disciples who witnessed miracles, and still the doors are locked. Why? Because their bodies remembered threat. Their minds may have heard hope, but their nervous system remembered danger. That's trauma. Locked doors are not a lack of faith. Locked doors are hypervigilance. It's the brain saying, we are not safe yet. And watch how Jesus responds. He doesn't knock, he doesn't scold them, and he doesn't say, why are you still afraid? Jesus enters the locked room and says, peace be with you. Peace before explanation, presence before instructions, safety before correction. Jesus speaks directly to their nervous system. That's the brain story in Scripture. This is why just calm down doesn't work. You can't talk a nervous system out of survival mode. Telling yourself I'm safe, it's not that serious, that was a long time ago, doesn't work when your brain learned danger through experience. Healing isn't about forcing calm. It's about teaching your brain a new pattern, slowly, repeatedly, and safely. That's why healing takes time. That's why setbacks doesn't mean failure. That's why awareness is power. Here's the part that always gets me. God designed your nervous system to protect you, not punish you. The fact that your brain adapted means you survived. And survival is not weakness, it's wisdom. But healing is learning that you no longer need the same level of armor. Just like the disciples, there comes a moment when the doors don't need to stay locked anymore. So instead of asking what's wrong with me, try asking what happened to me and how did my brain help me to survive it? Because your reactions are not random and your triggers, they're not imaginary. Your responses make sense in context. And once you understand the brain story, you stop fighting yourself and start working with your body. If your brain learned danger, it can also learn safety. If your nervous system adapted to trauma, it can adapt to healing. And no, healing isn't linear. Yes, it takes patience, and absolutely, you are not failing because it's hard. You're healing something that was learned in survival. And in the next episode, we'll talk about how the body holds trauma and what it looks like to gently teach your nervous system something new. So until then, be gentle with yourself. Your brain did the best it could do with what it had. And your healing, it's already unfolding. If this episode has spoke to you, blessed you, or helped you to understand yourself in a deeper way, share it, leave me a comment, but definitely subscribe. And remember, your healing isn't just personal, it's generational. Until next time, keep breathing, keep healing, and keep walking in your God-given power.